This square log barn on your left is a flue cured tobacco barn. No, tobacco is not a cure for a flu virus. Instead, it was used for heat-curing broadleaf tobacco, a variety which appeared for the first time in Madison County in 1872. That was during the Federal Reconstruction period after the Civil War. The war had devastated farm economies, especially in the South. Yet broadleaf tobacco began to quickly change all that. Zachariah Henderson of Madison County reported that his 2.5 acres of tobacco netted him $1,027 after expenses. That was quite a windfall for a farmer of the late 19th century. This new broadleaf tobacco variety became the first commercial-scale tobacco and was called the new broadleaf Cash King for the next 48 years. Broadleaf tobacco later became known as Flue Cured tobacco because it was cured in a tightly closed barn heated with wood fires and the hot flue pipes inside. The leaves of the broadleaf tobacco were compact and full of moisture, and the plants did relatively well on the depleted soil in the mountains of the late 1800s. Individual leaves were pulled or primed from the stalks from the bottom up as they wilted and became ripe and gold in color. The pulled leaves were tied to sticks approximately 4 feet long. Several workers would work together to gather bunches of 3 or 4 leaves and hand them to a person standing at a tying horse with a 4-foot stick laying across the horse. The person tying the leaves onto the stick would take the hand of leaves from the hander and wrap cotton twine around the stems in a special knot, tight against the stick. After about 16 hands were tied, the sticks of leaves would be taken off the horse and handed to a man at the barn door, who handed it into the barn, where it would be taken and hung high up in the rafters. The flue-cured barn itself was square and built of round logs with V-notches at the corners. They're actually inverted V-cuts. Typically, in the 2 corners on either side of the door were rough fireplaces of rock and clay. For simplicity, here we show only one to the right of the door. The fireplaces or furnaces were built on the ground inside the barn with an outside opening for feeding and firewood. Feel free to walk inside to see the interior side of the fireplace. But watch your head. The reason the door is so small is to minimize heat loss during the curing process. The spaces in the walls between the logs were typically filled in with clay or chinked to keep in the heat. These logs have not been chinked yet, as the reconstruction of this barn is a work in progress. Tobacco would cure in the hot, dry air of the barn after about 2 weeks' time, with the furnaces being fed wood continuously, night and day. It was often a rite of passage for a young boy or girl to stay alone all night, sometimes far from the house, to keep the fire going at the correct heat level. Let's head back outside. If you go back to the sign, please notice the photo of the boy tending the fire. Now step back and look up. Notice the 2 different types of roofing on the barn. On the left side are split wooden shingles. On the right side are sheets of metal roofing. Wood shingles were the homemade type of roofing because of the plentiful trees. Metal was not available until later. The broadleaf or flue-cured annual crop value for Madison County went from $50,000 in 1872 to $250,000 in 1882, with the estimated value per acre of $200. The average acreage per household was 4.5 acres. By 1897, the county's tobacco crop totaled 2.5 million pounds. By 1917, World War I had created a large market for cigarettes. Many of our troops in World War I discovered the new cigarette phenomenon in Europe and began the habit to relieve stress. Some believed the smoke helped cure the Spanish flu, which was rampant in Europe. Ironically, the flu caused more deaths than the war. Thanks for joining us on this Appalachian Barn Alliance audio tour of the Flue Cured tobacco barn and the history of Flue Cured tobacco.